considered the marketing savior for the sport.
So many people were also painting her out to be the problem. She could never do enough. She could never speak out.
The WNBA players are not pleased with Caitlin Clark's recent European offer. The entitled players feel that because they have been in the league longer, they should also receive a large contract with a higher value.
Game is physical. Caitlin is helping to grow the league. These women understand that, but she cannot be babied as a rookie. That's all.
The WNBA will collapse if Caitlin moves overseas because she will earn the greatest salary in the world, something she truly deserves, and she may finally be able to play in a league that respects her instead of players who are trying to bring her down.
Here's the reality. It wasn't what it is. The quality of basketball may have been up to snuff, and you had somebody as popular as Cheryl Swoops, who had her own signature shoe, had to deal with Nike and all of this other stuff. But the bottom line is, very few people gave a damn.
It's understandable why Caitlin would like to remain in a league where even her own players betray her. Nalissa Smith and DJ Carrington were seen giggling about the viral eye after the news.
Ow! Oh, I'm sorry. You poked me in the eye. You did.
I did not poke you.
Did you do it on purpose?
I did not poke you.
You did it on purpose.
We have a teammate named Caitlin. The opposition players clearly don't want Caitlin in the league, and now that her own teammates are making fun of her, she should accept the EuroLeague offer and leave the WNBA pleading for her to return. DJ Carrington is asking if she did it on purpose by mimicking Caitlin while her own teammate team hasn't shown any signs of supporting her either. Instead, they have been posting highlights of Smith's season.
I wonder if Caitlin, in every post-game press conference, she came out and talked about the kind of hateful comments that she was getting. If she came out and told everybody the reason why she has personal security that goes with her every single place. It's a lot. And so it's not just Caitlin Clark fans or Indiana Fever fans. It is not all going in one direction.
Why does this specific move cause such a stir within the league? Caitlin Clark's contract with a European team isn't just another move. It's a glaring example of the gap between opportunities available for some WNBA players and those who can command attention abroad. Players who have been in the league for years haven't been able to reach ASA, but Caitlin, who recently made the switch to professional basketball, has managed to garner international notice. One of the most well-known figures in women's basketball, Wilson, hasn't gotten the same offers as Caitlin.
Just saying it wasn't to the degree of Caitlin Clark being on that basketball court and people watching her, but nevertheless, rising tide lifts all.
For A'ja Wilson, the underlying message that this decision sends to the rest of the WNBA is what's causing the displeasure about Caitlin's move, not just the fact that she signed a deal to play in Europe. A'ja has long held the view that winning the league MVP award should entail more than just winning a trophy. In her opinion, MVP status should inevitably bring the best opportunities in terms of contracts and recognition. However, she is currently witnessing Caitlin Clark, who hasn't played for nearly as long or achieved as much in the professional world, receiving offers that someone of A's caliber ought to be receiving.
There were a lot of people that laid the groundwork that deserve shine as well. Here's what we're going to do.
Are they playing now?
Here's what we're going to do.
Are they playing now?
We don't have Andrea.
Remember, you got
we don't have any of the women, Chanae. They'll come back on. We'll revisit this conversation. Glad.
A'ja is even more frustrated because it highlights the harsh fact that success and skill don't always translate into financial gain in the WNBA. While Caitlin was still playing at the collegiate level, her games were packed with eager fans, but A'ja, even as MVP, wasn't attracting the same audiences at the WNBA level.
There's a reason 12 million people are watching ESPN for a game. If that game was on CBS, they probably would have had 25, 30 million people watching that game.
DJ Carrington's hatred for Caitlin Clark is well known. The two players had a past together, and Carrington's bitterness reached a peak during the notorious eye poke incident, in which Caitlin suffered a black eye rather than expressing regret for her behavior. Carrington decided to make fun of Caitlin, which increased their level of hostility. This public act of disrespect wasn't a one-time occurrence. Rather, it's a sign of a longer-standing animosity that Carrington has harbored toward Caitlin. This animosity probably originates from the fact that, despite Carrington's own talent as a player, she hasn't been able to attain the same degree of success or notoriety as Caitlyn, which has led to a sense of bitterness that was made worse by the I Joke incident. It seems like a personal blow that Caitlyn's quick ascent to fame is being given to someone who hasn't put in the same amount of effort as she has.
It's producing the most watched WNBA games in over 2 decades. What does that tell you? That tells you that before Caitlin Clark came along, it wasn't nearly as popular. It doesn't mean it wasn't growing in popularity over the last 2 to 3 years. But 3 years ago, WNBA was an afterthought.
What's most concerning about Carrington's actions is that, rather than offering an apology for the harm, she seems to enjoy Caitlyn's troubles. Carrington made fun of it by making fun of Caitlyn in a way that seemed to imply that she liked watching her suffer. This type of behavior transcends professional rivalry and becomes personal. Carrington has been disrespectful and resentful of Caitlyn, and Caitlyn has had to cope with this throughout her WNBA career. Nalissa Thomas has sided with DJ Carrington in their mutual animosity toward Caitlyn Clark following the iPook incident. Nalissa was seen laughing with her girlfriend about Caitlyn's injury, demonstrating a complete lack of empathy for her fellow player. This kind of behavior is shocking, especially coming from someone who should be a professional athlete. The fact that Nalissa and Carrington find amusement in Kate's injury speaks to a deeper problem within the league level of hostility. The WNBA is meant to be a place where players support one another and collaborate to improve the league, but instead she is dealing with open hostility from her peers, creating a toxic environment where players are actively trying to bring each other down in addition to competing against one another. Caitlyn's injuries on the court wasn't merely an accident. It came to represent the bigotry and animosity she encounters from players like Carrington and Melissa.
Racism has been impacting the WNBA well before this year. This is not a new thing. Sure. This is, and in that way, I do think Caitlyn's being used as a pawn. Caitlyn didn't bring racism to the WNBA. This has been happening.
The frustration Caitlyn Clark experiences is not limited to her interactions with other WNBA players. It also extends to her own team, the Indiana F. In professional sports, a team is meant to represent a safe and supportive environment where players are united in a common goal, winning games and achieving success together. It's about trust, collaboration, and solidarity, especially during difficult times. However, Caitlyn's reality with the Indiana Fever has been anything but supportive. Rather than coming together to support her, who was obviously injured, the team seemed indifferent, failing to publicly defend her or even acknowledge the situation in a meaningful way. This must have felt like a betrayal, as not only were her efforts being sidelined, but their own team seemed more interested in celebrating the accomplishments of others than protecting one of their star players. If a player like Caitlyn, who has contributed so much value and attention to the WNBA, isn't receiving support from her teammates and coaching staff, it suggests a far deeper problem and raises significant issues about the internal dynamics of the organization. For any athlete, especially one of Caitlyn's caliber, the lack of support she received isn't limited to a single incident. Rather, it speaks to a larger problem within the team culture. In this instance, Caitlyn's teammates and staff have chosen to keep quiet or concentrate on other players, sending a clear message that her contributions to the team and personal well-being don't carry as much weight as they should. When you feel alone or undefended by your own team, it can be emotionally taxing.
All I gotta say is she's lucky this UConn team isn't healthy. And that's a true statement.
That's not. That's wrong, Molly.
Monica.
That's wrong, Molly. Molly, it's excuses.
5 top players,
it's
am I
excuses,
right?
Molly. It's
Major
excuses.
injuries.
You would not be saying that if it wasn't UConn.
Major stars not playing.
Listen,
You gotta go.
It's her against Caitlin Clark.
Stephen A.
Ain't no excuses.
Stephen
You
A.
got there.
Don't
want to hear that now.
Stephen A.
Let me tell you, if
Paige
Georgetown gets
Beckers-
back in the mix, I'm going to be insufferable. I'm just telling you that now.
What?
If Paige Beckerson basically missed 2 seasons, I don't know if we'd be talking
Come
about
on now.
Caitlin Clark the way we are.
It can cause players to lose confidence and feel alienated, which affects their performance and general contentment in the league. It also makes Caitlyn wonder if the WNBA and, more especially, the Indiana Fever are the right places for her to continue her career. After all, why would she stick around when her own team doesn't seem to be supporting her? Caitlyn's decision to think about playing in Europe is further complicated by this incident. She would probably make more money, deal with less animosity from rival players, and possibly even find herself in a more courteous and encouraging team atmosphere. The Indiana Fever's lack of support for Caitlin may be the last straw she needs to decide to transfer abroad, because European leagues are renowned for providing their best players with the tools and encouragement they require to succeed.
A lot of this noise came by people that were sitting on this network. They tried to minimize her, said, well, you giving her all this credit. What about the women that came before her? What the women came before her, what they did cannot be taken away. That ain't got nothing to do with Caitlin Clark.
Losing someone like Caitlin, who is able to attract new viewers, might be a catastrophic blow to the WNBA, which has always found it difficult to compete with other major sports leagues. Caitlin's transfer to Europe raises concerns because it might set a precedent. If one of the league's brightest stars can leave for greater prospects overseas, what's stopping other elite players from following suit? There may come a time when the WNBA's top players are playing abroad, leaving the league with fewer standout stars to draw in spectators. Caitlin's exit might be the decisive factor that sends the WNBA into a tailspin, reversing years of advancement and hard work.
When they got eliminated from the playoffs, the attendance dropped. The ratings drop. If the WNBA is more, it is, and I get it. Why aren't people watching?
This concerns not only Caitlin, but also the WNBA's overall future. Angel, Reese Asia Wilson, and DJ Carrington are aware that the WNBA cannot afford to lose its top players, but Caitlin's exit suggests that the league isn't doing enough to keep them. Caitlin Clark's choice to join a European team may have long-term effects on the WNBA, which has worked for years to grow its fan base, boost attendance, and become a significant force in the professional sports industry. One of the main players promoting that expansion was Caitlin.
All the women that have been calling for the equality, and now that there is the chance for them to start getting paid more because the exposure's up. Because it's her, you have people like, what's her name, Jamelia Hill or what? I can't stand her. Yeah. You got these women who are coming on here and they're saying it's because she...
When Caitlin stopped playing during the playoffs, the effect on viewership was that fans who had tuned in to watch her abruptly lost interest, and the numbers showed that this presents a serious problem for the WNBA. Her presence on the court attracted fans who might not have otherwise watched WNBA games, and her ability to connect with audiences made her a vital asset to the league. The league has invested a lot of effort into raising its profile and expanding its fan base, but Caitlin's exit jeopardizes all of that progress because it will no longer have one of its biggest stars. The WNBA may experience a sharp decline in viewing, which would harm the league's financial performance as well as its long-term development. The criticism she receives from other WNBA players isn't exclusive to a small number of players. It might affect many of them. Have resentment and jealousy towards Caitlin despite the fact that she has done more than almost anyone else to raise the league's profile. Prior to Caitlin's fame, the WNBA had trouble drawing fans and maintaining viewership, but now that she is in the spotlight, the league has witnessed record-breaking attendance and increased media coverage. However, rather than celebrating Caitlin's accomplishments and the positive impact she has had on the league, many players seem determined to bring her down. This resentment is primarily motivated by jealousy. Because of her ability to attract fans and secure big contracts, Caitlin has become a target for players who believe they aren't receiving the same opportunities. This hostile environment has caused Caitlin to wonder if the WNBA is the best place for her analysts.
Caitlin Clark come into the WNBA and do what she's doing right now. Immediately, absolutely.
Given everything she has gone through in the WNBA, Caitlin Clark has every reason to think about relocating to Europe, where she would receive a higher salary, encounter less animosity, and be able to continue developing her brand free from the WNBA's incessant negativity. With Europe, Caitlin can start over, concentrate on her craft, and continue to draw in new admirers free from the toxicity and drama she's currently dealing with. The WNBA may suffer greatly from Caitlin's relocation to Europe. Without her, the league runs the risk of losing its biggest star and its expanding fan base. The WNBA is already having trouble competing with other major sports leagues, so losing someone like Caitlin could send it into a downward spiral. If you enjoyed, please leave a like. Caitlin has brought more attention to the WNBA than almost anyone else, and her departure could result in a dramatic drop in viewership. And subscribe, there are now more videos visible.